Good morning, majors. Today I'm going to do Unit 4, day 4, Unit 7, Day 4 video, trigonometric part, the second part. So in this part, we will be trying to come up with some technique or some method to help you solve for the missing angle or for the missing side. So what we decided to do is to first give you steps to finding the sides of a right triangle using trig ratio. And in the second page, we're going to talk about finding the angle using trig ratio. So these are the steps. The first one is, I'm sure when we did day 1, you guys have, kind of got used to it. Step 1 is identify, circle the given angle being used. Make sure it's always the acute angle, not the 90 degree. Always the acute given angle. And based on an angle, label the side. Which side is going to be the opposite side, which side is going to be the adjacent side, which side is going to be the hypotenuse. But then decide, the third step would be the ratio. You will find each variable. Hint, if we have two variables, cover one of them to find the other variable. So if you have an x and y, first solve for one of them. Don't try to solve for x and y at the same time because you are not going to be able to do that. So if you decided to solve for x, for example, is that opposite over hypotenuse or opposite over adjacent or adjacent over hypotenuse? So you have to kind of set up the trig ratio based on what is given. When you do, the way you're going to put it in a calculator would be the number, whatever the number they gave you, times by sine of the degree, or the number divided by sine or cos or tangent of the degree. One thing you guys have to do is you're going to use your calculator. This is the one we have to use the calculator to find, but make sure your mode in the calculator will be in degree fold. So once you solve for the first variable, if there are two variables, make sure you repeat step 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this is a quick reminder what sine is, cos is, and what's adjacent is. Okay, so based on the steps that I just gave you, I'm going to do all these 3 problems. Okay, and then hopefully maybe I'll do the 2 and then you guys will do the third one by yourself. Okay, so I'm moving it down so that I have space, but for you guys can actually see the steps. So step 1 said circle the acute angle. So in this case, they only gave me 32. They could have given me both, but just choose one. It doesn't matter which one you choose. So I'm going to choose 1, which is 32. And then based on this 32, I'm going to label my side. So right across from it, I have x, right? That is going to be my opposite side. Okay. Right next to it, I'm going to have y, right? That's what I have right next to 32 is going to be y. That's my adjacent side. And then 24 is also next to it, but 24 is the hypotenuse. So I can't label 24 this side as the adjacent side because it's opposite to the 90 degree, which qualifies it as hypotenuse. And that's the first thing you could have done in any of them. Like look at the 90 degree. Oh, opposite from the 90 degree would be the hypotenuse. That way, you only have to worry about, okay, which one is next to, which one is opposite to the other side, okay? So this is hypotenuse, this is h, okay? So now, the next is, when question said, the next step is after you label, that's the second step, right? The second step is you label. The third one is decide which trig ratio you're going to use. So if we have 2 variables, we wanted to do for one first, right? So in this case, let's solve for x, okay? So x is my opposite side, right? And then y is the adjacent, so I can't put both together, right? So I have to use the other number. 24 is the hypotenuse. So I wanted to solve for x, which is the opposite side, and hypotenuse is given. And if you look into the trig ratio, which trig ratio out of this has OH together? Good job, sine, right? So I'm going to use sine. So when I write my trig ratio, this is the part you really have to be careful. I'm going to put sine, right, of the degree. What is the degree measure in this case? 32, right? Sine of 32 equals opposite. Opposite is given to be what? X. And what's the hypotenuse? 24. Okay, so this is the trig ratio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over 1. Okay, sine 32 is x over 24. So simply all we have to do is cross multiply. The x is going to multiply the 1, right? Which just gives you x, right? And then 24 is going to multiply 32 because that's what they're across from each other. So it's going to multiply 24. It's going to multiply sine of 32. Sine of 32. Okay, so now how do I put it into my calculator? So I'm going to pull my calculator out so you guys can see it. Come on, calculator. I need to move you. Okay, let's move it to this side. So I can move it right here. Okay, so you guys can see it. I don't want it to cut. All right, so sine. So the first thing I will do is always check the mode. Mine is not in degree form, so I have to go down and change it into degree. Okay, I always check because these are not your calculators, so especially if you're using the classroom one, might change, or the default would always be radians, so you don't want to make a mistake because of that. So second exit. All right, so after this, all we have to do is put it in a calculator. As I told you earlier in the steps, it's the number times sine. So I put 24 times, or you can just say sine 32. I already changed the mode into degree. When you close it, you press enter, it will be 12.1. So x would be 12.1, right? So I don't know, was it rounded 7.1? 7.2 actually, if we wanted to round it, right? So it'd be 7.2. Okay, so now you have a choice. So I wanted to solve for y. So yeah, I can choose to do it either. So now x is 12.72, right? So I can either do a squared, b squared, c squared, because now I have a two side, right? Or I can use trig ratio again, because I'm looking for the adjacent side and you're given the hypotenuse. So what I can do is AH is going to be what? Cos, right? So I can say, okay, cos of 32 is adjacent, which is y, over 24. So I will do it both ways and you guys will decide. So now this is over 1. And then you're going to cross multiply. So this would be the most accurate answer. If you do it this way, you would get, because it will give you all the decimal number. So y would be 24 cos 32. Okay, so we're going to take the calculator again. So I'm going to do 24 cos 32. Close it. Okay, and that's what I got, 20.35. But if I decided to do it a squared, b squared, c squared, so you just have to remember, it's going to be, let me use a different color, maybe purple now, and just put it down a little bit. So I have 12.72 squared, to solve for y is what I'm talking about, plus y squared equals to 24 squared. So after you solve for x squared, you can do it that way. So then I'll go to my calculator and put 24 squared. I need to use 24 squared, right? Which gives you 576, and then 12.72 squared, which gives you 162. So I need to take the difference between the two, 576 minus 161.29. Oh, I forgot the 29. Okay, I'm going to do it again. 576 minus 161.29. And I got 474. And then I'll do the square root of 414.71. So the answer should give me something closer to what we did earlier, right? Which is 20 point something. I didn't write it down. See, 20.36 is what I got this way. If you go up, when we did the trig, 20.35. See, so this is the most accurate one. The 12.35 is the most accurate one. But even if you decided to do, because this is a rounded answer, right? If I had used the whole number in here, it would have given me the same thing. So it's going to be 20.35. 35 is y. Okay, so you guys decide which method you like to do, and then we're gonna do it. So one more. So I'm gonna probably try to go a little bit faster for this one. So I'm gonna circle the angle given, and then based on this angle, I'm gonna label. I already labeled the hypotenuse. The side across from 40 is gonna be the opposite side, right? And the side next to my 40 is going to be the adjacent side. Okay, so let's see. I want to solve for the hypotenuse first. Okay, so then I can use OH. OH is sine, right? So I need to see it. So I'm going to say sine of 40 is opposite, which is 15, over hypotenuse, which is y. So I'm going to put this over 1. We're going to cross multiply, right? So I'm going to have y sine of 40 equals to 15. Still didn't solve for y, so I have to divide both sides by sine 40, and I have to divide sine 40. So when you put it in a calculator, you're going to put 15. So you're going to clear this out. All right, let's go down all the way down. All right, let's clear it now. Oh, I pressed it too much. Okay, so I'm going to put in, what was the number? 15 sine divided by sine 40. So you can do alpha y equals 2, and you can use this, or you can just do simply 15 divided by sine 40. Okay, so we got, enter, 23.34, right? 23.34. So y would be 23.34. So again, now I know this is 23.34, this is 15, so I can do a squared, b squared, c squared, right? A squared, b squared, c squared, and find it. Or I can do AH or OA to find the missing angle side. So you guys can do the next number 3 by yourself, and then we'll go over it. So this is the side when you're trying to find the missing angle measure when you don't know the side. So again, the steps are the same. Circle one of the unknown angles. Okay, label the side according to the circled angle, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Determine which trig ratio to use. Set up the equation, and then This is what makes it very, very important, because this is where everything changed for this piece, which is now I'm going to do the inverse function. Okay, because I don't have an angle now. I want to know the angle. So you have to press second sine, second cos to be able to find it. And once you know, and then the other thing is, once I know one of the angle, once you find it, if you're looking for the other one, just subtract it from 180, because it's, or from 90, because you know a triangle add up to 180. One is already 90, so you just have to subtract it. Okay, we'll go over it, what I mean by that. So find the missing angle rounded to the nearest decimal. So which one you want to solve for, A or B? Doesn't matter. Pick one. Okay. So I want to solve, let's say, for A. So I'm going to circle A. And then in this case, I'm only going to label the given information, right? So this side close to A, this is my adjacent side, right? And then opposite to the 90 degree is going to be my hypotenuse. Okay, so which trig ratio has AH together? Cos. Good job. So cos has AH. So cosine of angle A, that's the angle I don't know, is adjacent, which is 24 over 25. Right? Once I set it up, I don't know what A is. So all I have to do is put this in the inverse function. Okay, and put the ratio as it is. Okay, so what I will do is grab my calculator, and I'm going to put second cos. So you can press second cos, and then you can put the fraction there with the fraction sign, or you can just say 24 divided by 25. Close parentheses, because it has the inverse function. We want to know what angle would give me the ratio of 24 over 25. So I do the inverse function. You press enter. 16.26 is what we got. So this is 16.24, or angle A is 16.24. So what it's saying here, number 6, is once you know one of the acute angle, which we just did, the fact that there are 180 degree in a triangle, and you already know that you have a 90 degree here, right? That's a 90 degree. Then to find the B, all you do is, so angle B is going to be, I'll do it both ways so that you guys can, so angle B would be 90 minus 16.24. Okay, and then you come to your calculator and you put 90 minus 16.24. Okay, that will give you 73.76. So angle B is 73.76. Okay, let's say you don't want to do it that way. You want to continue with your trig ratio, you can, but now your point of view changes, right? So you have B. So for B, this becomes the opposite side. The hypotenuse stays there. So I can do sine B. Opposite is what? 24. Adjacent hypotenuse is 25. So I'll take the inverse function of 24 over 25. So this is a proof to show you that it's going to equal to the same thing. So I'm going to grab my calculator, and I'm going to do second sine, and then you put 24 over 25. And you press enter. See how close they are? 73.76 is what I got. 73.73, which is 74 if you really round it. But so the answer would be as close as possible. But since I have not used the whole thing, like if I use 90 minus the whole thing, it would have given me this. Okay, so that's something you guys have to work on. Find what, I think I made a mistake. This was 16.26. I put 24. That was my fault. But that's what we have to do to find the missing angle. So again, go back to, like, let's say I want to solve for number 2. So I'm just going to quickly set it up. Number 2, I'm circling A. This is the opposite side. This is the adjacent side. OA is tangent, so I'm going to say tangent A is 8 over 15. Then in the calculator, I'm going to put tan inverse 8 over 15. And then you get the answer. Okay? All right, we'll work more on in class, but make sure you guys make your bow doesn't degree 4. You should have a graphing calculator on your laptop if you want to use it at home. I'll show you how we can get it up. But have a good weekend.